Yesterday, my wife and I, together with another buddy of ours, completed 4 shallow reef dives down in Key Largo. I think the maximum depth we hit all day was about 32 feet or 9 meters. So we were on air and our no decompression time was at least, over 200 minutes. And yet there was another group on the same boat as us, all diving the same dives we were doing on Nitrox. Why? This Mouthpiece Monday is all about Nitrox, what is Nitrox, and when should you use it. Roll intro. Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome to Divers Ready. My name's James. So great to see all of your smiling faces yet again, back for one more Mouthpiece Monday. If you're new to this channel, I'm a professional diving instructor and I make videos jammed packed with hints and tips with one simple goal in mind: to help make you a better scuba diver. So if you haven't done so already, consider to make your next dive on that subscribe button. Click the little bell icon for us and that way you'll never miss any of our great content. I would like to start this week by saying a huge thank you to all of you who jumped on Twitter with the hashtag AskDiversReady and sent us your questions for our upcoming everything you always wanted to know from a dive instructor but were afraid to ask scuba diving Q&A video, which we're going to shoot hopefully next week sometimes. If you haven't already submitted your question but you have something you want to know about either this channel or scuba diving in general, please go to Twitter. Again, our handle is @DiversReady and use the hashtag AskDiversReady. We've had a lot of great questions so far, but there's still time to get your question in. I'm really looking forward to making this one. It's going to be super exciting. So Nitrox, or to give it its proper name, Enriched Air Nitrox, is so commonplace these days. It's actually really hard to find a dive center that doesn't carry, stock, or blend Nitrox. Perhaps some of you watching this already have your Nitrox certification cards. As I said in one of our earlier videos, Nitrox to me is an essential qualification for the progressive scuba diver. Maybe some of you watching this don't have your Nitrox Specialty card and are here to find out more about Nitrox and what it is, in which case this is the video for you also. But a lot of people don't fully understand all of the benefits of Nitrox. They see these yellow and green flashy tanks on dive boats. Maybe it's a little bit intimidating or what. So in this video, we're going to demystify some of the myths around Nitrox. And then later in this video, I'm going to be giving you my top 5 scenarios for when Nitrox is absolutely the right breathing medium to choose for your diving. But first, what is Nitrox? Well, recreational Nitrox is a breathing gas blend that has an oxygen percentage above 21% and below 40%. Now, as we hopefully all remember from our open water training, nitrogen is the main determining factor in the no decompression limits of your diving. In other words, how long you can dive for. The more nitrogen a gas has, the faster you'll hit those no decompression limits. If your dive exceeds your no decompression limit, if you dive longer than the time allowed at that given depth with that breathing gas, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to incur mandatory decompression stops, which once you've completed and surfaced safely, the dive boat captain will shout at you until you cry, and rightly so. Or if you surface without completing mandatory decompression stops, you're most likely going to get some form of decompression illness. Neither of these options are good. So what Nitrox does is by increasing the oxygen, you're proportionally lowering the nitrogen in that breathing medium. So that means that it takes longer to reach those critical limits, which in practical terms means you can dive longer at the same depth. Now, there are risks associated with increasing the oxygen percentage of a breathing gas. We're not going to get into those in this video. However, there are reasons why you need to have specialty training if you're going to breathe and dive Nitrox mixes. So let's clear up 4 myths about Nitrox before we get onto the tips as to the when you should be diving with Nitrox. Myth number 1 is that Nitrox is for diving deeper. This is a kind of yes and no situation. If you're an open water diver who's only ever done 20 or 30 foot reef dives and you're looking to go to the next level of your diving, get your advanced certification and maybe explore a little bit deeper, then you're going to start to move into the territory where nitrox is the right gas to breathe, in which case, yes, I can see that diving deeper than you have been diving, nitrox is the right gas in that scenario. However, normally the inverse is exactly true. The richer your gas blend, the stronger the nitrox. In other words, the higher the O2 percentage, the lower the nitrogen percentage. Actually, the shallower that gas can be dived to. Myth number 2. Nitrox is dangerous. No. Diving nitrox irresponsibly or incompetently is dangerous, and definitely mixing nitrox and handling pure O2 under high pressure comes with risks that need to be mitigated with certain precautions. But on the whole, diving nitrox shouldn't be any more dangerous than diving air, provided you adhere to your nitrox training. The next myth you hear all the time is that nitrox is expensive. I can't really tell you if nitrox is expensive or not, that's for you to decide, but I can tell you what it costs. And here in South Florida, you're looking at between $10 and $15 for a nitrox fill per tank. So if you're doing a 2-tank boat dive with a commercial charter operator, and that includes 2 tanks of air, you're going to have to add $20 or $30 if you want to dive nitrox instead. Now, if you're vacation diving, some dive resorts and liverboards will throw in complimentary nitrox as an incentive, so you should definitely look out for those kind of packages. And the fourth and final myth that I hear a lot about nitrox is that nitrox is only for advanced divers. No, absolutely not. No. Nitrox is for every diver, and let me explain why. Most certification agencies even allow you to take your Nitrox certification course concurrently with your open water course. So you can enroll in an open water course and do your Nitrox course side by side. And then when it comes to the dives for your open water course, you could even do those on Nitrox. So there's no need to wait till further on in your training. Nitrox has so many benefits we're going to get to in a moment. You absolutely, I recommend for every diver, open water and above, junior open water, everyone, Nitrox is for you. So when or on which dives should you be using nitrox? Well, here comes my top 5 situations in which diving nitrox is an absolute must. So situation number 1 is if your dives are being limited by your no decompression limit. So in other words, your computer is forcing you to go up and you've still got like half a tank of gas left, but you're hitting your no decompression limit, it's time to go to the surface. Anytime you feel that your dives are being limited because you're hitting no decompression on your computer, then nitrox is the solution. On the other hand, if your dive is being cut short because you're breathing down your tank so fast you're not even getting close to your no decompression limit, nitrox isn't going to make a difference to you. Remember that you're going to breathe nitrox at more or less the same rate that you're going to breathe air. So if you're down there huffing and puffing like a pissed off dragon, nitrox isn't really the answer in that situation. However, if you are finding that your computer is forcing you to go up and you've still got tons of gas left, absolutely you need to be diving nitrox. Situation number 2 is if you want to be extra conservative on your diving. In my example in my introduction, there was this couple that was doing a 30-foot reef dive and they were using nitrox. Now, their no decompression limit was well over 205, 210 minutes, something like that. If you can do a 205-minute dive on a single Al 80 to 30 feet and find a dive boat captain that's still going to be on the surface waiting for you to come up, more power to you. So what some people choose to do is to leave their computers set to air and dive nitrox on their back. And what that does is if your computer thinks you're diving a gas mix which is richer in nitrogen, it's going to cut your dives considerably shorter than what your actual no decompression limit would be for the gas on your back. What that does in effect is takes the benefit of diving nitrox, the extended no decompression limit, and turns that into a conservative buffer. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to use my dive computer to plan a no decompression recreational dive to 90 feet. And I'm actually going to do it 3 times. once using air, once using 32% nitrox, and once using 36% nitrox. So follow me into the computer here and let's take a look. As you can see on air, my no decompression limit for 90 feet is going to be 17 minutes. Pretty short dive. Let's change that to 32% nitrox, and that gives us 28 minutes, so that's already an increase of 64%. And now let's have a look at 36% nitrox mix, and that gives us 35 minutes. So that's more than double our bottom time on air. I rest my case, Your Honor. Situation number 4 in which nitrox is very, very useful gas to breathe is when you are doing lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of diving, i.e. you're on a liverboard and 6 dives a day is the norm. Did you guys notice on the last point there? When I flashed up my computer here and I said, oh, we're going to do a no decompression dive plan, I showed you my shearwater petrel, and then I switched to the view of the computer overhead and it was a shearwater Perdix, slightly different computer. That's because my petrel is beat to crap and I couldn't find a good camera angle where you could see the screen clearly. So my buddy who's staying with me has a brand new shiny Perdix and I borrowed that for it. How many of you guys noticed that? Let me know in the comments below if you did. So not only does Nitrox extend your no decompression limit under the water, but it also shortens your required surface interval between dives. When we surface from a dive, we still have excess nitrogen dissolved in our bodies that we're exhaling with every breath we take. Every breath you take. We need those surface intervals to reset our tissues to make our subsequent dives safer. If we're breathing a medium that has less nitrogen, that means we're absorbing less nitrogen, which means we need less time between dives to get back to that reset point. So where this really comes into play is if you're on a liverboard vacation where 5 or 6 dives a day is the norm, then you don't want to be missing any of those dives because you want to get the maximum bang for your buck. So investing in nitrox as your breathing medium is going to mean that you don't have to skip any of those dives in order to stay safe. Situation number 5 for when nitrox is a must is really anytime nitrox is available to you. So let's talk in the broadest of terms here. If we accept that there is a risk with all scuba dives and that there is always the chance of decompression sickness no matter what profile we follow, and we accept those risks, and we know that decompression sickness is caused by nitrogen dissolving into the body, then on a super high level, less nitrogen is always a good thing, and therefore nitrox should always be preferred over any gas that has more nitrogen in it. So as long as the oxygen rules are taken care of and you obey the maximum operating depth for the gas that you're breathing, and it's not a question of availability or a financial decision, the question really is then, why wouldn't you dive nitrox? Now, as for claims that float around that nitrox gives you more energy or makes you feel more alert, I can't testify to that. I don't really have experience with any of those situations, but if that floats your boat, more power to you. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this content. We've got so many more great videos coming your way, and I don't want you to miss any of them. If you did like this video, feel free to click the thumbs up button, and if you didn't like it, click the thumbs down button twice. Just over here is a playlist to all our other Mouthpiece Mondays, so you can check that out. And just below it, I'm gonna let the YouTube fairies decide which video of mine you should watch next. Ooh, mystery video. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, my name's James. This was your Divers Ready Mouthpiece Monday for this week. Dive safe, dive often. Now it's gonna be the hat. Boom!